We'll call to our Board of Zoning Appeals to have the pledge to the flag. Joe Crowell, would you please lead us in the pledge? Would we all please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Here.
Joe Crowell.
Here.
Jerry Sartain. Joe Machado.
Here.
Michael Rather. Jared Barrett. Here. Zane Cantrell.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum and all regular voting members are present.
Okay, all regular members will be voting today. We have the minutes, you have the minutes in hand of the May the 11th meeting and June the 8th meeting. And do you have any changes or additions to any of those minutes? We have a motion they be accepted as presented. Have a motion that be accepted. We have a second.
I second.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, like sign. They are approved. Let me welcome each of you here today. We have 3 items on our agenda. As we move into these items, we'll have a report from our staff concerning each one. Then we would like for those of you who are requesting a change to come to the podium. There may be some questions or additional information that you'd like to share with the board. After that, we will open a public hearing, which will give you a chance, those of you who would like to comment or bring any information that you might have to the board's attention at that time. We would ask you to keep that within 3 minutes, each person within 3 minutes. Stay on the subject and you should be okay. For those of you who might have evidence, people in your community that have written letters or notes that the board should consider, please give that to our secretary up front so we can enter those in the meeting, in the minutes of our meetings. We have, from time to time, we have calls and people who say they cannot be here, cannot be at the meeting for whatever reason. We ask them to submit whatever they would like in writing so we could consider that. It's very difficult for a board member, and it's probably not appropriate for a board member to take that information and try to relay it to the rest of us. So we ask that you put it in writing or petitions, and anything like this would be appropriate way to handle that. The first item of business is a request by Marvin Fink, who is requesting a variance, and this is for an additional structure. We did them both.
Application 2011-43 filed by Marvin Fink involves the property located at 9653 Mount Air Way. It's a .86 acre parcel located in the residential 15 zone. The applicant is seeking variance relief from the maximum square footage limits established in our code, which states those properties less than 1 acre are entitled to 1,200 square feet of detached accessory structure area. Mr. Fink has constructed an addition without obtaining permits. He has an existing 900 square foot garage on the property, and he constructed an additional 960 square feet of detached accessory structure to that existing one that is shown on our records. And before he can obtain a permit and correct the situation, he would need to get variance approval for the 660 square feet of excess additional structure area. The criteria for the variance is very limited, and the application does not meet that criteria. However, if the board approved this application, they, the site would continue to meet the 20% lot coverage requirement for residential areas. And I've been showing some photos of the surrounding site. This is the site behind the applicant's residence, and you saw the structures in question. This is, you see the addition that is located behind the roofed garage, or the gable-style roof garage. And when staff went out to the site and inspected it and posted the sign, we noticed that in that portion of his detection, in the portion that we're discussing tonight, he had a boat and a lawnmower stored. So he does indicate in his application that it will be used for personal storage. And we have received 3 to 4 calls against the application. One call was just for informational purposes. There were concerns relating to the multiple cars on the site, as well as there was some confusion regarding is he going to build more or what's existing. And we explained to the ones that we spoke with in the office that it's already up. They see what he's going before the board. The structure is already constructed, but he could not get a permit until he fixed the zoning issue. And the residential neighborhood, this is a site located across the street, and he's located at the corner of Mount Airway and West Jefferson Pike. He's the first lot of that subdivision, and those are properties located across West Jefferson. And of course, we posted the sign on the property, and that concludes our presentation.
Do we have someone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please, to the podium. Yes. Do you have any other information you'd like to share with the board? If you'll give us your name and anything you'd like to say.
The reason why I built it was for I got a boat. I've been covering up for the last couple of years, but the tarp keeps falling off of it. Seats got ruined. That's why I built the shed this time for the boat and the trailer I got and the lawnmowers. So that's what it's going to be used for, and that's it. So.
Do we have any questions from the board? Joe?
I have one for Danielle.
Danielle, does it meet building codes, the building itself? The structure, does the structure meet codes?
Well, that's not been determined, because before an inspector will go out to the site to determine whether or not it meets any codes, there has to be a permit. Okay. And he cannot obtain a permit until he receives variance approval for the additional square footage.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
I'll make a motion to be approved.
Have a motion that be approved. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Have a second. Did you get that? Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes,
Motion carries, sir.
it is approved. The next item of business we have is a request by Harold and Shirley Mosley. They are requesting a conditional use permit to allow a Type B mobile home. And I think this is on property without any other buildings on it. Is that correct?
Well, there is an existing shed that
I mean, there's no other homes.
no, it's vacant.
Okay.
Application 2011-44, filed by Harold and Shirley Mosley, involves the property located off of Bradyville Pike, and the property owner is John Lane. The property is zoned residential 15, and they are seeking conditional use permit allowing a Type B mobile home on a parcel measuring less than 5 acres and located in the R15 zone. The applicants would like to live on the property. They would like to place a 2009 single-wide mobile home there and make it their residence. The area is rural. There are large tracts surrounding the property. The property is located next to an intersection. I believe that's Rock Hill Road. And as you will see, there's a church located across the street. Mobile homes, Type B mobile homes, have to meet setbacks that are slightly different than single-family homes and modular homes, and they are required to provide a 40-foot front yard, which is the same as what other single-family residents would have to provide. However, their side yards have to be 20 feet, as well as a 20-foot rear yard. Staff found that the request itself meets the conditional use criteria, and that we've recommended conditions for the request if the board decides to approve it. This is a picture facing the adjacent property, taken from the site, surrounding properties. This is the site itself. As you will see, there is a shed that's been there for several years. According to the owner of the property, apparently there was a mobile home, a single-wide, located on that property many years before, but it's been moved off of the property, and the property has not had a single-wide on it for several years. We found no documentation in our records to show that it might have been a grandfathered, use. However, that's why they are appearing before you today. And that's the approximate location where the mobile home will be placed. We have received several calls in opposition, 4 calls against, and 1 call was informational, and they had no opinion as to whether or not it should be approved.
On the close-up shots that you have there, do you have one that would show the exact location or where it would be?
Well,
other than the aerial?
I can show you. She identified it as being located behind the shed and the well house, I'm assuming, and I can show previous. Kind of approximate location would be that truck where you see the truck on.
Okay.
And she could clarify the applicant once they come up and speak to the board.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come forward, please. Both of you may come up if you'd like to the podium.
My name is Shirley Mosley, and right now we're living at 984 Poplar Bluff Road, Auburntown, Tennessee. And we wish to move our mobile home that's on my daughter's property there to this location. And we are the owners of it now because we was in the process of closing when I came to see the codes.
I'm sorry, you're the owners of the property?
We are the owners now
Okay.
because we have closed on it.
Do you plan on this being your permanent home there, or do you
Yes.
think you might build?
We don't have no plans on it right now.
Okay. Any questions from Joe?
Do you have any plans on making this a rental home?
No.
Always you're gonna live in it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. If you'll come around to the podium and give us your name and any other information you may have. You may go ahead and be seated too. Unless, do you have anything you want to add to what she said? Pardon me?
Yes, I do.
Yes, come on around then. I'm sorry, he wants to add to it, so we'll get you guys.
We'd like to get these copies too, so yes, you have
This lady right behind you.
got several copies if anybody would
I'll pass those out. He'll give them to you.
have one. Anybody have a copy? I got one. Thank you.
If you'll give us your name and any other, whatever you need to say.
My name's John R. Lane. I've owned this property for, really don't know how many years, for a long time. I had a brother-in-law that raised his family there in a trailer. They had 2 kids. He lived there 20 years. They're deceased now. After that, Mr. Tidwell rented the trailer for several years, and his family outgrowed it. He moved a 14 by 60 in and lived in it for, I don't know exactly how many years, 5 or 6, 7 years. And then when he moved out, it stayed vacant for a while, and then another lady that was kin to the family moved there for about 5 months. And the water got, the whales, that was a year when the whales got sort of bad. And I live in Nashville. I own several pieces of property in Rutherford County. I went to the CUD with Mr. John Mankin, which was a personal friend. And we talked to them about getting water at their open meeting. It was unable to, right at the time to do it, but they were able to get bond money at the end of the year. And Mr. Mankin called me and told me that it had been approved to put the water out.
Mr. Lowe, you need to, we got about a minute left, so you need to get to the subject.
Okay, well, that's all it is, you know, and it's been a trailer lot there, and I was told when I came down to the get a permit to pull it off, that it was grandfathered in and could be replaced, and I have paperwork on it. If I didn't give it to y'all, I've got it here, with another trailer, single wide, means it was grandfathered in 20 to 40 years prior to the law that's passed today. That's about it, unless somebody's got a question for me.
I do. Got a question, Mr. Chairman. But Mr. Lane, but you have since sold the property to the Mosleys, though, correct?
Yes, sir, I
Okay.
did. I
Okay.
did,
All
yes,
right.
sir. About approximately, I guess, a month or 2 ago.
Oh, all right, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Jerry, did you have a question?
No, thank you.
Joe? Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, we'll open this for a public hearing for those of you who'd like to speak on this request. If you'll come around, please.
Yeah, my name is Melvin Lowe.
Yeah, I'm Ricky Lowe, the son of Melvin Lowe. Go ahead.
I own the property which adjoins it on 2 sides. And that piece of property that we're talking about, putting the trailer on, I think a little over 1 acre.
Mr. Chairman, we can't hear you.
Talk here.
Speak.
My voice,
yeah.
that's why I brought him up, my voice is.
Yeah, I can speak for him.
Speak into the microphone because it is difficult to
Yeah,
hear.
I'll speak for him. He's got a hard
Okay.
time talking. The property that my father owns 45 acres that adjoins that property, which is on that fence line you can see there. That piece of property that they have is 3/4 of an acre to maybe an acre max. So it's a small piece of property. And that actual shed that they show there, we have pictures of it from today. That shed's been tore down as of today. So it's not even there anymore. So, I mean, I just think personally it's not a good area for a trailer to be put back to. I mean, Anything else you want to put there?
I own several pieces of property here in Rutherford County, and I put over $1 million a piece of property I've got across the road up there. And I just object to it because,
Talking to Mike.
oh, excuse me. And I object to it because I think later on it could be used as a transient, to renters. He's speaking about it grandfathered in, but is it grandfathered into the new owners? And I think it's going to disvalue my property, which I went across the road. I went up and down the road there on several locations.
Okay.
And when I bought out there, I didn't know they was going to ever put a trailer in there.
Okay.
I
Thank
offered to
you.
buy it from him at one time, and he didn't seem to be interested.
Okay, thank you. We have a question here.
I just have a question. You say y'all own 45 acres?
Yeah,
Okay, around it there.
We own on the south
Right.
side of it, and it'd be the west
All right.
side.
How long have you owned that property?
6 years.
6 years. So when Mr. Lane was talking about the prior years of all the years the trailer being there and there being no problems, y'all wouldn't have any knowledge of that because y'all didn't own this property at that time.
There was no trailer there then.
All right, so thank you.
Mr. Pasco, he's come here with us. He's been 14 years. He's never seen a trailer there.
All right, so thank you.
Jerry?
You made the statement that it was not suitable for a home. Could you elaborate and tell me what is not suitable about it?
Just the size of the property. I don't see a trailer being set there. And I raise fancy deer and stuff like that. And right next to the property line on that last year, somebody shot 2 of the deer from the road.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Do we have anyone else who'd like to speak? Please come around.
Keith.
I could tell you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, my name is Jerry Pascal, and I live right down the road from this property, and it's less than 2 acres where they want to put this trailer. And this area is not for a trailer park, or one trailer, period. And all my neighbors right here, and they're all against this. And it would depreciate the value of our property to have a house trailer there, single wide especially. So we're all against that, against this trailer. All of our neighbors.
Any questions?
It's not even 2 acres of land.
Okay, we may have a question here.
I just have a question, Mr. Pascal. How far do you live from this property?
Well, I'm about half a mile down the road
I see.
on the opposite side.
Okay. How long have you lived there?
How long have I lived there?
Yes, sir.
Since 1985.
Since 1985.
Now, if this trailer had been there when I bought this property, I wouldn't even have bought the property, probably.
Okay.
Because of a house trailer being there.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
But all the time that you were there, there's never been a trailer since
No.
1985.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Anyone else? For those of you, I said there's several neighbors. For those of you that really want to speak on this, you can come on around over here and line up. You don't have to say much, just to let the board know that you're here. Okay, go ahead.
My name's Jennifer Suggs, and we own property about half a mile down the road. And for me personally, it's not about the trailer house. It is about the size of the lot and the septic. Many of us in the neighborhood got our starts in trailer houses. I was one. We've since built, and I remember how stringent the rules were about the trailer house, the size of the acreage, and the septic. And many of us have alternate septic systems. I have a lagoon septic system. So for me, it's just not wanting to open doors for something that the rest of us have abided by, and the possibility of rental situation on a very small lot.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, you may be seated.
Keith Williamson. We own the property next to Jerry, so we're just that much farther from the proposed lot. We've lived here about 6-7 years, and I support what she just said, that not really against trailers as it is, but I think they should follow the rules that have been established, and helps our maintain our property values to do that.
Thank you. Anyone else before we close the public hearing? Okay, well,
Was he for or against it? I couldn't hear what he was saying.
he was against it. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, the Bradywell Pike has several house trailers up and down it. My stepdaughter owns one on the Bradywell Pike and lives in it. And I don't see nothing but woods around in the church. I don't know these people that want this home, but I'm going to make a motion to approve it on the grounds that it never be a rental trailer.
Okay. We have a motion that this request be approved, and as a part of the requirements that it should never be a rental property.
Second.
And we have a second. Do we have any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next item we have is a request for a daycare center. And this is by Kendall Gray, and the also a variance for the parking area.
Okay.
What do you have on there?
All right. Application 2011-45, filed by Kendall Gray, involves the property located at 1100 Golden Creek Court. The property zone residential 15, and it's a .33 acre parcel. Ms. Gray is seeking conditional use permit to establish a daycare for up to 7 children and variance relief from the vehicular egress requirements for daycare facilities. The applicant indicates her plans to provide the service only to those students that attend Wilson Elementary School, which is directly adjacent to the applicant's property. The hours of the daycare would range from 2:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. only on the days that school is in session. I'm sorry. The applicant is also seeking, as part of her request, our code specifically requires that any daycare facilities that cars should not be forced to back out onto a street. So essentially it requests that you have a driveway or a loop-style driveway where people can pull in and drive out rather than having to back out onto a street. This is a local street. She's located at the end of a cul-de-sac. Her street frontage is only 45 feet wide, and it would be difficult to provide a second driveway on the property and probably not be fitting with the adjacent properties in the neighborhood. This is a recently developed subdivision, newer homes, and she likens the situation because she does not anticipate all parents picking up every child, which is 7 of them, at the same time, that it would be staggered, that you would not have all of those cars there at any single moment, but should there be the rare occasion that all the parents are there to pick up all 7 children, it would not be any more intense than a dinner party being held at someone's house. Staff investigated whether the public facilities were in place to serve the use, and Consolidated Utility manages the wastewater system there, and they had no issues with the proposed request. She will also be required to obtain licensing from the state for a daycare facility. And staff recommends approval with conditions. And as you will see, this is her property's the one outlined in bright green, and that is Wilson Elementary. She has a large fenced-in backyard that is required by state a fenced-in play area. And I took some photos of that, but this is a photo of surrounding properties and homes. Posted the sign on the property. And just to show you, this is Angie Drive, which separates the subject site from the school. It's part of the school property, and in speaking with the applicant, she will actually have a decided meeting place for, at the end of the day, she will actually go and get the children and escort them over to her property where they would not be, required to cross Angie Drive without supervision. And this is the back side of the property along Angie Drive. This house in question, and her backyard. The gate into the backyard, and this is the fenced-in area that the children can go outside and play. And she's provided us with a site plan showing the fenced-in area, the existing house, and the cul-de-sac, and Wilson Elementary School. And that concludes our presentation, and we have not received any phone calls regarding this.
Okay, do we have someone here representing this request? If you come around, please.
Hey, my name is Kendall Gray. I've lived in this neighborhood for about 4 years now. I have 2 kids of my own, so I'm aware that there is a need for an after-school program in this area. The school has a YMCA program, but they have limited enrollment, and there's a long waiting list every year of kids that are elementary school kids that are coming home to empty homes. And it just, with my property being located where it is, it was such a great opportunity to serve that need without changing any of the characteristics of the neighborhood. The kids, before we build our fence, the teachers actually crossed the kids right in front of my property there, so they used to walk through my property anyway, coming home. So that's the normal route of those kids coming home from school anyway. I'm not building any additions, changing any structures, so, and I'm also seeking licensing, as she said, so I'd have to comply with all that, including the kids would have to be in my fenced yard or in my home at all times. So I don't see any issue with the neighbors being affected by this. And as far as the kids picking them up, they'll be picking them up anywhere between 5 o'clock and 6:30. So we're talking about a maximum of 7 cars, but of course we'd have siblings and community. So most kids would probably walk or be picked up by, one car would pick up more than just one kid with siblings.
Any questions? Joe?
What would be the age group of your children?
It would be from 1st grade to 5th grade, and it would only serve Wilson Elementary.
And the maximum number would be 7?
7 is the maximum.
Could you maybe elaborate to us what the state requirements are for keeping 7 children?
That is I do not need a license to have up to 4 children, but between 5 and 7, I need a license to do that, a home daycare license.
But maybe some of the other requirements. Do you have to have another person there with you?
No, I don't. I would be fingerprinted and background checked with TBI. I have to be CPR and first aid certified. I have to go through a fire inspection and environmental inspection. I have to meet all my program requirements as far as my policies and procedures, my vision statement. There's several pages of stringent requirements that they require. I can give you more specific if.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Make a motion be approved.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
No.
Thane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay. Do we have any other business?
No, sir.
Are you asleep?
No, I said no, sir.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much.